Okay, don't really have a picture for this one. This is more just a general observation I've made recently. As far as the future of, sort of the future of the left going forward. And the current status of, all the politics in America. And what I wanted to say, or what I want to talk about, is how, if you really look at it, in America, we really don't today. We really don't have a left and a right wing. We have like a center-right side, which would be the Democrats, and we have a Republican Party that's like totally unspooled. Like absolute whack jobs. And I feel for us to make real progress as a nation going forward, that is something that has to change. Like for instance, when you look at like the policies of Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders was way to the left of anyone that ran in 2016 for president. But the problem with that is that if you look at any other nation in the developed world, Bernie Sanders is a moderate. All right? Because and the problem that we have, and the reason that was caused, personally, from what I can understand, the reason that happens, or has happened, is because of, it actually kind of goes back to Bill Clinton. Because Bill Clinton is what was sort of the first of what was starting to be called, or what is being called the neoliberal movement or phase or period in American politics. Because he wasn't like Democrats in the past. He was more center, he was more conservative. It was basically a way for the Democratic Party to say, hey, we're sort of like the new style Democrats. We're not like the freaking free love hippie motherfuckers. We get shit done. We're serious. We're liberal on some things. We're conservative on the other things. On some other things, and that was an attempt for them to draw in moderate Republican voters, and it did work. It got him elected. And then that pulled the Democratic Party more to the right and more into the center. And then for the Republicans, remember the Republican Party, I believe it was Eisenhower, who was a Republican, said that basically anyone who would challenge the policies or the programs of the New Deal had no place in American politics. And he was a Republican. Fast forward to today, and Republicans are trying to get rid of Social Security and get rid of Medicare and Medicaid, and trying to roll back what few advances we have made in the on the front of healthcare. And what happened is that basically the Democrats started moving into their turf. And so the Republicans just took a hard right, drove off the side of the road, down a cliff, into a ravine, and blew up. And started going after what are essentially right-wing extremists in the evangelical Christian conservatives. And that's the big, I think one of the biggest problems with the way the Democrats see like their strategy going forward and what they should be doing and who they're going after, is because they keep trying to go right. But when you're dealing with someone like okay, but before this whole shift happened, evangelicals were looked on as like kind crazy. Like, even traditional religious people were like, no, I don't really want to associate with those, because they're Christian fanatics. I mean, for fuck's sake, these people, like, they go to church and, like, they roll around on the floor and they speak in tongues and shit like that. Nobody in politics wanted that stink on them. But the Republican Party didn't really have a choice because, the Democrats were kind of coming into their turf and taking the more moderates. So they took a hard-ass right and started going after the crazies. These people who feel that there is genuinely some kind of, like, a genuine, like, war between the forces of God and the forces of evil, and they are, soldiers in this war to combat, like, push, like, to further God's kingdom on earth, which is, for one thing, is a point of view that is absolutely at odds with our fucking Constitution. Alright, let's just start with that. This nation, the U.S., is, in fact, again, if I haven't pissed off all the any evangelicals listening yet, this will do it. The United States is a secular country. Okay? It is not a Christian country founded on Christian ideals. Look at most of our founding fathers weren't even really religious. And that was in the 1770s. Alright? And there's a reason that separation of church and state is in our fucking Constitution. Alright, that was one of the most important things that they felt that there should be, that the government should not endorse any official religion. That people were free to practice religion as they saw fit, but the government should have no part in it. And that is something a lot of these evangelicals and the people they vote for have completely forgotten about. Or just don't care because, in their opinion, well, they have to fight some war against the evil, godless left and their agents of Satan. Or some shit. So where was I? Okay, the right-wing extremists with no knowledge of the Constitution. Okay, well, basically, lately, the Democrats' plan seems to be to continue to kind of nudge right. And like, oh, well, it worked for Clinton. Bill Clinton. Obviously didn't work for Hillary. But it worked for Bill. Like, okay, well, why don't we keep trying that? Let's try to draw away more of the Republicans. So the problem is, the more right you lean, the more whack jobs that you're getting. And these are people that they would vote for someone who is in favor of progressive policies over their fucking dead body. Like, they're not doing it. Like, unless you're anti-gay, anti-trans, in favor of was damn near the equivalent of like Christian Sharia law, they're not going to vote for you. It's never going to happen. And they're wasting their time trying to think that it will. And then on top of that, to try to get votes like that, they either act like Republicans or vote like Republicans, or do things that either accomplish nothing or actively cause more harm to the country and to its citizens. And it's entirely the wrong direction to be going. So here's my theory. Here's what the direction in which politics needs to go in this country. To the left. I mean, seriously, fucking hard to port left. Okay, no more fucking around. Let's put people like Jill Stein and, hard left fucking hippies. Maybe not that hard left. But you get what I'm aiming at. Let's do it the other way. Okay? We've chased after Republicans for so long. Let's make the Republicans chase after the left. Okay? Now here's the thought process. Okay, well, basically it's essentially a reverse of what we've been doing. Now, The reason I think it might have some actual might actually work is when you look at the average presidential election, only about half the country even votes. All right, about half of the country even bothers to vote in elections. And why not? A lot of them too. They have no interest. It's always the same shit to them. Like I've heard before. Basically the left wing. Basically like the left wing and the right wing are just like the left and right nut on the freaking corporate cock fucking America. And in a lot of cases, they're absolutely right. So let's change it. Let's give them candidates who support policies that they want. Single-payer health care, higher minimum wage, actual required by law time off like every other fucking country has. Maternity leave, for Christ's sake. Start pushing for policies that the public, that the American people overwhelmingly want. Make the Republicans the weirdos. Alright? How about we try that? We take a nice hard left. Alright? We start pushing those policies like crazy. Policies that people want overwhelmingly, that they will support, that people will actually come out in support of, and get that half of the country that doesn't vote interested in politics, so that they will come out and show support and will actually vote for strong progressives for office. Alright? And once that happens, and once you can start going farther and farther left, then the Republicans will start looking more and more like fucking right-wing fanatics and psychos, which they are. But it'll be even more apparent. Just like when you look at, say, Jill Stein, she was kind of like a bit of an out there hippie for her positions. Let's flip that, okay? Make people like Ted Cruz, aka Mr. Potatohead. Make that mushy face sumbitch look like the absolute fucking nutcase that he is. I mean, these are people that are talking about like, oh, I ran for office because I got down on my knees and I asked Jesus what I should do. And he said I should run for government. Those are the people that hold office right now. That is ridiculous. Let's turn it around. Let's go the other way. Let's go to the left. Let's make people like Jill Stein and to the left of her seem, okay, it's you kind of lean a little left there, a little bit. And then people on the right like Ted Cruz, like Chafee, the asshole of things you can cover from Utah, that thinks, oh, you can cover your health insurance with, the cost of an iPhone. So it's not that you're poor, it's just you just don't manage your money properly. People like that. Let's make them look like the friggin' fringe freaks that they are. And that's basically my plan. So, not really much in particular to link to for this. This is kind of like a rant thing. But, I'll see if I can find something relevant to put in the description. Anyway, like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you next time.